Pisces, what's up, y'all? How you guys doing? We gonna take a little look and see how these energies are looking for y'all in the last week of February. It's a really short month, and it's actually a really interesting transitionary period too. So I figured we'll just lump the last half of February all into one. So I want to touch on a couple of situations I haven't touched on yet. And, details, timeline changes, all that good stuff. If any of you are in need of a personal reading, the information is down here in the description of this video. All right, let's get some good vibes in the air. All right. So I'm starting this off with something I have not touched on yet at all, the new person. Those of you who are dealing with a new person that you just recently started dating. When I say new person, the intention I'm putting into it is like within the last 3 months, but it's all up for speculation. If you've been dating somebody for 8 months and that feels new to you, you can take it if it resonates. Let's see how these energies are looking. Pisces and the new person. How's it looking? Oh, man. Straight out the gate. Every time, dude. Now, the first spread is not the end-all, be-all gospel of truth. It's a general energetic overview, mainly from your perspective. So maybe you suspect that this person may not be somebody you can trust. Allegedly, supposedly. I don't know why you feel that way. Maybe they have a bad reputation. Maybe they're just acting really fucking shady. Or maybe you're just tripping and projecting your own shit onto them. I don't know yet. We'll see. Damn, dog. Somebody getting ghosted? Are you afraid that you're going to get ghosted? Oh. Actually, honestly, this kind of feels like this connection might be making you a little bit nervous because of how strong it's starting to feel. It's starting to really, really feel very heavy and intense. Now, don't hold me to it just yet. Like I said, this isn't the gospel of truth yet. We're going to look at this person's energy here in just a minute. So far, though, you know what it's looking like to me? It's looking like, to me, like this is starting to feel so strong and so intense, and that's starting to scare the shit out of you a little bit. Because the last time you felt a connection this strong and this intense, you got hurt very badly. And you're afraid of that happening again. So you're shifting into like damage control, you know? Fear of getting hurt again. I could be wrong. I will gladly take it on the chin if I am wrong. But that's kind of what it's feeling like so far. So maybe some of you could be dealing with somebody with an addiction issue. Or maybe you're just afraid that it's only a sexual connection. Yeah. Let's go ahead and look at this person's energy before I keep speculating. Hang on. I could be wrong. Let's see. Let's see this person's truest, deepest feelings, energies, and intentions. Ace of Cups reverse. Two of Swords reverse. That's good. Okay, Two of Wands reverse. That's good. Okay. All right. So Okay. So are you picking up on something that's off? A little bit. A little bit. Is it what you think? No. I don't think this person is playing games with you. I don't think they're talking to other people. I don't, however, think that they're as emotionally invested in this as you would like them to be, though. I think they've made up their mind. I mean, they're not indecisive. They have, where'd it go? Right here. They've made up their mind. They've made a solid decision that they're going to give this a chance. You know, they're committing to this. However, they're moving slow. They want to move slow. They're not dumping all of their emotional eggs in the basket all at once. You know, I think this person's very emotionally independent. You know, so they're pretty reserved when it comes to how quickly they'll let somebody in. This person's not desperate. They're not needy. They're not clingy. They're very emotionally independent. They have emotional integrity. But no, they're not lying. They're not cheating. They're not playing games. They want to commit to this. They do. They just want to move slow. So the only thing that I would say that might be a little off, if you would even call it off, is that they're not as heavily, I don't want to say emotionally invested. I mean, they're invested. It's just that they're not overflowing with emotions that they can't control because they're very emotionally independent. Does that make sense? Let's get some advice here. Yeah, so the person that you're dealing with, I got to word this carefully. I can't say this the wrong way. The person that you're dealing with is the type of person that needs to be able to have the freedom to be themselves and express themselves on their own terms. Right? And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be there for you emotionally. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you get too demanding and pushy with somebody like this, it will push them away. You know, I always say that you want to bring your concerns to the table like a calm, cool, respectable adult. Right? Not angry, shitty, bitchy, and aggressive. Even if your feelings are valid, all that's going to do is start a fucking fight. Bring your concerns to the table like a calm, cool, respectable adult. And what you're looking for, I'm not saying that they're supposed to flip a switch and conform to your imagination like that. I'm saying what we want to see is, do they even try to alleviate your concerns? I think this person would absolutely try to alleviate your concerns. But it may, if you confuse attempting to alleviate your concerns with, you know, doing what I tell you and doing what I demand of you, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm not saying that they should flip a switch and turn into the perfect person. I'm saying what we're looking for when we do that is, are you even attempting? Minimum, bare minimum, I'm going to explain myself to you. Bare minimum. That's the bare minimum. I'm going to explain. I'm sorry you feel that way, but It's not like that. Let me explain myself to you. I'm explaining myself to you so that you can have a better understanding of where I'm coming from, so that you'll know that it's not like what you think it is. And maybe, ideally, if you have a better idea of where I'm coming from, you know my feelings and my intentions, that should make you feel better, right? Minimum. So, yeah, this is if. Now, again, I have to word this carefully. If you want this to really see as much potential as it has, it's going to take patience and trust, right? And then once this person sees that you're the real deal, you're rock solid, you're ride or die, you give them the freedom to be themselves, shit. This could turn into an amazing life partnership. Amazing. But if we get pushy and demanding, and you better do it this way, and if you know how I feel about this, and you better do that, and stop doing this. If you do that, this is the type of person that ain't gonna hang with that. They'll boot, scoot, and boogie. So if you, and again, I'm not saying do this or do that. I'm just saying that that's the energy that we're working with. If you don't think that you have the patience for that, and you might want to reevaluate whether or not you want to take this any further, because, yeah, this person, they will take off running if you try to demand too much of it. All right. I hope I worded that right. That was very slippery and tedious. All right, let's see how things are looking with the past person. And here's what I've been telling the rest of the signs. Maybe if some of you are dealing with or inquiring about a different past person, because I've touched on the past person like 3 times this month, and I got to thinking a few days ago, you know what? It's not uncommon for people to come to me asking about multiple different past people. So maybe if there's another past person you're wondering about, just whoever comes to mind when I say this. Let's see how it's looking. Pisces and the past person. Ooh. The block communication card jumps straight out the gate. Yeah. I think that kind of tells us whether or not there's any action happening here. But then I have a communication card in the upright as the overall energy. And the card of breaking the silence in the heart of the spread. And we got the codependency card there. I don't want to hammer on that. I'm going to set that off to the side. I don't want to hammer on that. But if it comes out again, I'm going to have to hammer on it. OG followers, I don't feel like going into it either. I know you don't want to hear me talk about it. I don't have the energy for that tonight. But if my guides really believe that somebody out there needs to hear it and they bring that card out one more time, I'm going to have to hit on it. Anyway, though, it almost kind of feels like there is going to be communication, but it doesn't really look like very harmonious communication. Now, okay, let me go back to what I was saying a minute ago at the beginning of the video. How the last half of February is a really interesting transitionary period. So it's the last week of the year of the snake, the first week of the year of the horse. It's the first week of Pisces season, which is the last cycle to wrap up the last big cycle and kick off the next one. And the next one's gonna be big, boy. This Aries season is the Aries season we've been waiting on for fucking 4 or 5 years now. It's this one. That's not a prediction. It's on fucking paper. You ain't got to look very far to find it. This is a big fucking year, dude. Finally. It's finally fucking here, dude. So there's going to be a lot of crazy ups and downs for everybody all across the board this year with the economy, career, finance, and that stuff ripples out and affects your love life, your family, your friends, and your social life and professional life and everything else. So we all going to be going through some big shifts this year, all of us. Now, we're not at the advice part yet, but when it comes to like reconnecting with somebody from the past, anybody, ex-lover, family, friend, business partner, going into a Mercury retrograde in Pisces season, woo-y, shooey, dooey, and louie. I don't know if that would be the best time to talk to somebody that you fell out with. I don't know. The energy looks pretty heavy and thick here. I was telling the other signs, when I think of Mercury retrograde in Pisces season, here's what comes to my mind. Imagine you're driving home from work in the middle of a thunderstorm. And I mean, you got fucking raindrops, this fucking big pelt in your car, and your car breaks down on the side of the highway. Your cell phone ain't got no service. Ain't nobody around. You can't get a hold of nobody. You don't know. You have no choice but to walk 5 fucking miles, and you got to cut through this big field, right? It's storming. It's piss pouring cats and dogs. Your clothes are soaked, and you're trudging through mud every step you take. Your fucking feet go knee deep in the mud, and you got 5 miles to go. That's Mercury retrograde in Pisces season. It's gonna be a slow trudging bleh. It's not gonna be fun, right? I remember last year this time we had Mercury retrograde in Aquarius season. And it was very, very similar to that, but it was more like being stuck in a mental fucking prison. It was horrible. So there might be communication here. Communication that, starts off kind of surface level, superficial. I don't know if you've ever done this before, but I've had that happen where you reconnect with somebody from the past and it's very surface level and very fake. Very, very fake. And there's all this tension building up and building up and building up. And then, before you know it, one person says one wrong thing and then pow, fuck you, block. Doesn't go anywhere. And then you just end up disappointed. It's like, man, I'm more disappointed than I was before I talked to you, Some of y'all dealt with a Cancer, also have Scorpio and Saggy. But it could be anybody. Those are just energies. Let's see how they feel about you and what their true intentions are. Past person Pisces dealt with. Excuse me. Ooh, they're afraid you're mad at them. And I think they're a little bit intimidated. I think so. Could be an air sign for some of you. There's that 3 of Cups again. That came out in the last spread too. I think there's somebody else involved that they're afraid to tell you about. Or they're afraid you're mad about something. They're afraid that you're either mad about somebody else involved, like a third party, or they're afraid of you finding out about somebody else. There's something to do with a third party in there somehow, some way. And again, 10 of Coins. Very superficial. They want to keep it very fake, very superficial. They don't really know how to talk to you. Not really. One thing I'm not seeing, though, is somebody that misses you, loves you, and wants to try again and lay a foundation and try to do things right this time. I'm not really seeing that. I'm seeing somebody that kind of wants to keep things on the surface, be fake, and, just have a fake connection. Fake apologies, fake this, fake that. While there's all this other secretive shit that they're hiding. And I have a feeling that a lot of you already know that. And those of you who know what I'm talking about, you already know that that's gonna spark a big old argument. I don't think much has changed. This still isn't somebody you can trust. No matter who reaches out, no matter if it's you reaching out or them, it's not. Well, hang on. Let me go ahead and get the advice first. What's the advice for Pisces? Okay. So for those of you, okay, I got to split you into two groups. For those of you who are thinking about reaching out to this person, because communication is going to happen one or two ways. Either you're reaching out or they're reaching out. And to try to cover as many situations as possible. For those of you who you're taking action to reach out, I would ask myself, like, run every possible scenario in your mind first. And ask yourself, if the worst case scenario happened, could I still stand tall, strong, with integrity, and not get triggered? And this is an honest question that you have with yourself. It doesn't matter what anybody else knows. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. You ask yourself that. Like, worst case scenario, they lie to me, they lead me on, they blow smoke up my ass, they try to play games with me. Do I have enough integrity to be able to maintain my cool and my composure and just shut this shit down silently? If not, you might want to hold off on talking to this person, because I don't think they have intentions of being open, genuine, upfront, and honest with you. Now, for those of you who end up finding this person in your inbox, keep them at an arm's distance. Keep them at an arm's. I know I told you all this at some point in time in the last 2 or 3 weeks, but this is for the new phases. If you're ever going to bring anyone from the past back into your life, anybody, lover, friend, family, business partner, what's the number one key factor that needs to be taken into consideration? You ain't got to be a rocket scientist. Fucking a kid can answer that question. Whether or not there's been a change, right? If nothing has changed, nothing is going to change. Common sense. The tricky part is, it's really simple once you think about it, but how do you really find out if somebody has changed? I think most of us have found ourselves in that situation where we bring someone back into our life and we swear up and down they've changed. And then after a couple of months, the little facade fades away, the mask falls off, and you see they're still the exact same fucking person you walked away from. Well, how do you determine whether or not they've really changed or if they're just bullshitting you? I'll tell you how. First of all, you don't pay attention to a damn thing they tell you. Right? Don't put any stock in the words that are coming out of their mouth. Don't pay attention to how they act around you. Don't pay attention to none of that. You know what you look at? Every other area of their life. That's what you look at. You look at every other corner of their life. When somebody changes, and they really change who they are as a person, they're not just going to change one little corner of their life. It doesn't work that way. Everything is connected. Your daily habits, what you do with your spare time, what you spend your money on, who you hang out with, who you talk to, the way you perceive life, the way you view the world. The way you perceive others around you, the way you view yourself is going to change every aspect of your life. And so you step back and observe every other corner of their life, how they act around their friends, if they even have the same fucking friends, which most people who genuinely change as a person, they don't keep a lot of the same friends. I mean, at minimum, they might keep one or two of them around, but most people, when they really begin to change, they're not even hanging around the same people. What do they do with their spare time? How do they treat the waiter at the restaurant? How do they treat their family? How do they behave around their family? All these little things. If you see that the only change that they have made is the way they act around you, they're full of shit. Full of shit. It's bullshit. It doesn't work like that. Evolution, growth, change, doesn't work like that. Not when you change who you are from within. So keep that in mind. All right, now we're gonna take another little look here and see how the energies are looking generally for the singles. How's the energy looking generally for the single Pisces? Some of y'all dealing with a Leo, possibly. Feels like there's somebody really, really holding back. Holding back big time. Hang on. Is this somebody you're actually dealing with? Okay, hang on. This is weird. This feels like, I don't know, I'm feeling like the majority of you here either have somebody that you're interested in or somebody that you're dealing with specifically. Oh, that sucks. Okay, I got to figure out how to boil this down to a point, because this is going in two different directions here. For those of you who are dealing with someone specifically, I don't know who this is. I don't know if this is a love interest or a past person or somebody you're on and off with, but it looks like those of you dealing with somebody specifically are dealing with some drama, a very toxic, fucking narcissistic dumpster fire is what this looks like. 7 of Swords, 5 of Wands, Emperor reversed. Now, for those of you not dealing with somebody specifically, I do think there is somebody that has their eye on you with the Page of Swords reversed, but with the Ace of Cups reversed, I'm not 100% convinced that it's somebody that you're really all that interested in. It could be somebody at the workplace for some of you. I know that's not all of you, but this is so scattered, dude, and all over the fucking place. I don't like that. I'm trying to bring it down to one point. So for those of you not dealing with somebody specifically, I'm going to have to break this into two groups, dude. I'm going to have to break this into two groups, because this is two totally different storylines running side by side. That's weird. That doesn't happen very often. Now, okay, so for those of you dealing with somebody specifically, I don't know who the hell this is. Who's this? Whoever this is. It kind of feels like a toxic fucking cycle. And whatever the toxic cycle is, all I can tell you is it's not going to come to an end until you put an end to it. This is going to loop around with the World card reversed. Looping around and looping around and looping around and looping around, and basically you're on a merry-go-round that it's not going to stop until you jump off. For those of you not dealing with someone specifically, I'm feeling like there's somebody that's interested in you, but it's not somebody you're interested in. There may be a person or two that you are interested in that just isn't really going much of anywhere, but it feels like the only person interested in you is somebody that you're not interested in. Like every person that you're trying to connect with, you just don't, there's no connection. You feel like you don't have any options, or any good options at least. I don't know. Honestly, I am kind of feeling like there is a karmic tie here, though. Now, don't let the word karma scare you or alarm you, okay? That doesn't mean something bad's going to happen. I hate the way people use the word karma in the spiritual community. I can't stand it. Karma doesn't mean something bad's going to happen. It doesn't mean that you did something wrong. It doesn't mean that you have a lesson that you're supposed to learn. It absolutely does not mean that you're being punished for something, okay? Now, are there people who are meant to come into your life to teach you a lesson? Yes. That's not karma. I don't know why people use the word karma to describe that. Is there a universal law of what goes around comes around? Yes. That's not karma. I don't know why people throw that word around so ambiguously. Karma means unresolved, unfinished business. That's the only blanket that you can really throw over it. Now, that covers a vast array of many different types of situations and scenarios. But I am kind of feeling like there is somebody here that you do have some unfinished business with from a previous lifetime, but it doesn't really look like you're trying to go there. Doesn't look like you're interested. And at the end of the fucking day, that's fine. Anyway, good God, man. This is I told you, Mercury retrograde in Pisces season. Dude. See, the symbol for Pisces is two fish with their tails tied together, swimming in opposite directions. Now, that's just regular Pisces energy. You add the planet that rules your opposite sign spinning backwards. Bro. Yeah, when it comes to making new connections, meeting new people, trying new things, that retrograde in Pisces season could be it could be a conundrum trying to make that happen. Let's just get some advice for the singles, man. Is there a deck I have not used? How about this one? Man, you know what the overall energy is? 9 of Cups. So I got to word this very carefully. There's nothing accidental about the way I say things, okay? The way I word things is very, very strategically and meticulously thought out, right? When something comes out of my mouth, it's a bun that's been baking in the oven for a long time, right? I do have a filter. I don't know why some people brag about not having a filter. That's so fucking stupid. You wouldn't brag about not having an air filter in your car, would you? No. Because the filter prevents bullshit from getting in your engine. This filter prevents stupid bullshit from leaving your brain and falling out of your mouth. So when I say something, it's very calculated, okay? Don't live in fear of being alone. I did not say go be alone. That's not what I said. I didn't say go be by yourself. That's not what I said. It's a vibrational state. Okay? We have to understand the language of the universe. It's vibration. The vibrations that you cast are handed back to you. Remember what we just said earlier? What goes around comes around? What that means is the vibrations that you're casting are handed back to you. And we have to understand what we're saying to the universe and what it's saying back to us. So independence is a vibration. Most people, when they hear the word independent, they think it means alone, by myself. No, it doesn't. That's not what it means. Independent means I don't depend. Not I don't have, I don't depend. Just because I have people in my life doesn't mean I depend on them. Just because you're a part of my life doesn't mean I need you. If you're a part of my life, it's because I choose you, not I need you. So that's how we have to understand what the universe is mirroring back to us. That's the vibration that attracts abundance. The vibration of independence. I don't need. Independence goes way, way deeper than just doing shit all by yourself and taking care of yourself and paying your own bills. Congratulations, you're a fucking grown-up. That's not what we're talking about. I don't need a person to create my happiness for me. I don't need a person to make me feel complete. That's independence. Now, what does that attract? If you're really vibrating at that frequency. Just being alone and being by yourself doesn't mean you're vibrating at that frequency. Matter of fact, I would argue that most people that do everything alone and all by themselves are actually vibrating at a frequency of emptiness and loneliness, right? Because they haven't figured out how to fill that void. But once you do figure out how to fill that void and you're actually radiating that energy, not just making it look like you are, but you're actually radiating the energy of independence, that's what attracts abundance. What's the definition of the word abundance? More than I need. That's what abundance means. It means you have more than you need. If I'm sending vibrations of I don't need, the universe is not going to hand you back you don't have. The universe is going to make sure that you don't need. How does the universe make sure you don't need? I'll give you a hint. You do not, nor will you ever have anything that you need, because once you have it, you no longer need it. When I tell the universe I don't need, the universe says, that's true. You don't need that. Your wish is my command. Here. You no longer need it. Here you go. That's abundance. More than I need. My divine life partner is abundance, more than I need. My bank account is abundant, more than I need, right? Your car, your house, whatever, abundant. The food in my fridge is abundant, more than I need. Everybody throws the word abundance around and they don't even know what the hell it means. It means more than I need, but you have to figure out the vibration to send out so that the universe can give you abundance. There's too many people living in lack. And there is way too much of everything on this planet for anybody to be living in lack. There is more than enough of everything. There's more than enough money. There's more than enough food. There's more than enough supplies. There's more than enough resources. There's more than enough people for anyone to be living in lack if they can just figure out how to get out of that frequency. That's the hard part, though. That's the tricky part, because the reason why we're in that state of lack, number one, is because in this dimension we experience the illusion of separation. Key word, illusion. Illusion means it's not real. Separation isn't real. You never were alone to begin with. It just seems like you are. And then we're brainwashed into not only believing that we're alone, but the only way to alleviate the make-believe loneliness is to have material things fill the void. A person, a relationship, fill the void. Money to fill the void. It's backwards. The primary law is the law of vibration. The secondary law is the law of attraction. You don't attract first and then vibrate at abundance second. That's backwards. See what I'm saying? That makes sense? That might be a lot to bite off and chew, but think about that. That's not Rich Lopp's little theory. That is an immutable universal law. I had to learn it just like I'm teaching you. I was homeless, living under a bridge, eating out of a trash can when I started learning that and studying that. Trust me, that's the way it works. Okay? All right, y'all. I feel like those were the messages that my Pisces family needed to hear. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Thanks again for tuning in and playing along. Don't forget, information for personal readings is all down here in the description. All right? I'm out of here now, y'all. I will see you sometime between now